What's up, Facebook? I am here with yet another Play to Win Season 2 contestant. And I'm just going to say this as an introduction to Patricia. If you are not following Ray Higdon's stories, you should, because this powerhouse is on there like every single day. It's crazy. They're doing the final edits of the show. The show's going to be released soon. And every time I turn around, you're on the stories. How does that make you feel?
You know, I'm having my five moments in fame. It's fun. I love it.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. Like we were just talking about before we went live on the show, just the way that it played. I didn't actually get to spend much time with you. So I didn't get to hear a lot of your story. I know you've got 2 kids. Just kind of give us some background about you, about your family and you and your kids and that kind of stuff.
All right. So I am Patricia Lackey, for those of you who don't know. And I am a mom of 2. I've got an 8-year-old daughter who is crazy. I love her, but she's crazy. And then I've got a 3-year-old son, and he's little me. He really is. It's crazy. But yeah, I've been married to my husband. We got married in 2008. I want to say 2008-ish, around there. And fun fact, his name is Patrick. So we are Patrick and Patricia. We're P squared. We have tattoos that say that and everything. I know. And yeah, we just, I don't have a huge backstory other than I grew up like any other kid. I grew up in South Florida in Boca Raton. I know a lot of you have heard that name on a lot of movies, Boca Raton. But yeah, I grew up down there, and I went to Florida Atlantic University, graduated with a communications degree. Didn't do anything with that.
Yeah, but so you graduated with a media degree, so the show was no problem for you.
Well, yeah, right? It should have, yeah. Well, and then let's see, I did FA, and then I actually went into Enterprise Rent-A-Car, where I worked for about 3 years. I worked 1 year in South Florida, and then I transferred to North Carolina, Hickory, North Carolina, actually, where I worked for 2 years. Met my husband there, and then we moved up the mountain to Blowing Rock, and now we live in the mountains of Western North Carolina, and it is absolutely awesome. This was like my moment when we moved to the mountains. That was like my thing that I've been wanting to do since I was a kid, because we used to come up here all the time with my family, and I was like, I'm gonna marry a mountain man, and I'm gonna live in Blowing Rock, and I made it.
You made it. How far is that? Because Ray and Jess are actually out on vacation in North Carolina. I didn't see where, but how far are they from you? Do you know?
Yes, I do, actually. They are over kind of outside of Asheville, which is...
Yeah, it's closer to
me. Yep, it sure is. Yep, they're over near the Smokies. I'm in the Blue Ridge, so.
Yeah, Blue Ridge is beautiful. I've hiked both in Asheville as well as the Blue Ridge, and all through there, actually. So
yeah.
So they must be close to Mount Mitchell then.
Yes.
Based on the pictures they're showing. Okay, cool. So Enterprise, communication degree, reality TV show, star, all this crazy stuff. What made you pivot from all of that to network marketing?
Well, let's see. I got married, and I had Ada, and I had I didn't have as bad of postpartum after Ada as I did after Gatlin. It was bad. I mean, it was really bad. And so during Ada, I was a stay-at-home mom until about she was 5. And then I was like, I've really got to do something. And that's when I had Gatlin, and all that happened. So I kind of had to push that back just to have Gatlin, because I was literally 9 months hugging the toilet with Gatlin. Like, oh my God. It was terrible. I was like, when they went in there to have the C-section to get Gatlin out, I was like, listen, cauterize it, do whatever you got to do, chop them, whatever. I'm done. I am done. 2, I'm done. And yeah. So that was awesome.
I had 4 and was like, hey, 2 more. Like, it wasn't that bad to me.
Yeah, I know. And then came the postpartum, which was really bad. I mean, it was dark. It was a really dark time for me after Gatlin. I had a lot of just awful, dark thoughts that I mean, because if you know me, which you kind of do, I
Yeah.
am a very bubbly, happy, you know, everybody says I was always oh, you have a great personality, you're funny, that was me. And so for me to be in that place was just, it was hard. And I didn't, the medication was only helping a little. The therapy was only helping a little. My husband, God, thank him, he was helping, but just a little, And then I was on Facebook one day and I found this party somebody was having, and I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I get to do my nails while, it was a company about nails and nail polish and whatnot. And I was like, oh my God, I feel so good when I get my nails done. I don't even have to leave the house. Perfect. So I ended up falling in love with all of that. And it
Right.
actually really brought me out of such an awful funk that I was in. And it just helped bring me back, bring my life back, bring
Right.
Patricia back to, like,
All
the
over
world.
the nails.
Yeah.
Crazy.
All because of nails.
Yeah. Right. That's actually a super, and not that it matters, but that's really a super powerful story. Are you still with that company, or did you move
I
on to?
am.
You are. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yep.
great. I mean, like, I don't do nails, but like I might consider it over a story like that. That's so funny. So here you are going through, because I do remember this part as you shared some of this on the show where you were really struggling with the postpartum depression and finding yourself again. So you've done some corporate stuff, you've done some business stuff, and then you find this nail magic gig that brings you out of depression. And what did your friends and family say? Did they think that you
Oh,
took
they thought I
another
was
step off
nuts.
the ledge? I mean,
Yeah, they were like, this is another one of Patricia's things,
right? Funny.
But after I started producing results and, getting somewhere and moving up, my mom was like, oh, huh. Because she was in the school board for like 25 years, corporate,
Right.
by the book. She was the assistant principal of my high school, if that
Oh, I
gives
couldn't
you
do
any
that.
insight there. So, and my dad, he was he worked for Siemens. He was gone pretty much my whole childhood, in Germany or whatever, but working, they were definite office, you know what I mean? So for me to do my own thing, they were like, huh, okay, yeah, we'll see. We'll
Right. We'll
see.
see how long that lasts.
Yeah.
That's funny.
2 years later.
2 years later. So how did you actually get introduced to Ray? Was it through Rank Makers? Was it through, I mean, what was the vehicle that introduced you to Ray, and how long have you been associated with Ray and Jess?
Yeah. So it was actually my upline is a big rank maker. She's in the inner circle and all that stuff. And she would always be sharing Ray's, lives and talking about rank makers and how amazing it's been for her. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to check this group out. Why not? Because this was my first direct sales network marketing gig. So I was like, I need all the coaching I can get. So I got into this group and I just fell in love with Ray and Jess, just everything about them, their values, everything they teach. And the thing that I like the most is that I can share it with my team and have it be teachable to them as well. And it's not something, that's just so hard that you can't grasp it. You know what I mean? It's like so attainable, and they make it that way so that you do succeed.
Yeah, he's definitely a very good teacher in that he can break it down to a brass tacks kind of level.
Yes.
He's not spending. What I love about it is that I can start doing my daily routine, and then he's on for 10 minutes shortly after I finish, and it's just I've made it to where it's integrated into my day. It's not like you're taking an hour of your day, sitting up on the screen like talking about whatever. So,
Right.
so how long have you been a part of Rank Makers?
I have been with Rank Makers for about a year and a half. Yeah, about a year and a half.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So one of the things that I was highlighting with some of the other contestants was the relationships that have really been built with Ray and Jess. And there's only like 2 or 3 of us that really didn't know much about him going in. Uh, and
I
so,
remember you.
yeah, like, I mean, I had his books. I had his leadership book. I had his social media book.
Yeah.
And then I had watched, not a bunch of them, but I'd watched his free coaching Fridays, right?
Hmm.
And he and I were actually, I think he had left just before I had joined, but he and I were actually in the same company, not at the same time because he had actually left before I came on board. And I think that was, yeah, that was before he started his coaching.
Huh.
So I had heard of him and heard
Right.
who he was and knew about him, but I was not really connected at all. Um,
Right.
I had joined Rank Makers at the beginning of last year, and I was in
Hmm.
there for a couple of months, but I just couldn't figure it out. Things were kind of busy, and I was just like, "Why am I paying $20 for this? I'm done. Like I'm out of there."
Yeah.
And at the end of the year, I'd kind of like got to a place where I was like, "Man, maybe I should check that out again." And so I joined, and then a couple of days later was the email to come on the show, like, "Hey, if you want
Right.
to come on the show." And I had a friend that was on season 1. That's how I found out about it. And I was like, I'm going to do that. So,
Yeah.
you know, so you have,
Why not?
yeah, like, that's kind of like my story. Why not? I'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. So you've been in for a year and a half. That's a lot of time. And like I've seen just in 6 months coming out of the show, I decided to get way more plugged into Rainmakers and kind of figure out the group and figure out, where I could get value from it. But a year and a half is a long time. What do you think the number one lesson you've learned from Ray would be?
Oh my gosh, to start every day with gratitude and to get out of my own way. Because I'll
Yeah.
tell you what, I am always in my own way.
All right.
uh,
Well, that was pretty quick.
yeah,
Some of the
well,
other guys were like, well, let me, they kind of thought about it, and you're just like, "Ah."
because it's one of those things where it's every time I'm in Rate Maker or watching Ray, these are the things that I think of because there are things that he does reiterate, like starting your day with gratitude, always be grateful. And that was one thing that really helped me get out of that funk as well, was starting to write down things that I was actually grateful for, and I was like, oh, I'm not grateful for anything. What am I grateful for? I'm like, you woke up, Patricia. Be grateful you woke
Yeah.
up.
Right.
So
Right.
it
Right.
started
Right.
out with, yeah.
Hey, Tipper. Tiffany just hopped on. All right, cool. So let me think here. Sorry, when I highlighted that, my thing popped off. Why, you've already been pretty successful in network marketing. You've been in Rank Makers for a year and a half. You've learned some really powerful lessons from Ray and Jess. Why the show?
It's a funny question. I remember sitting there with my husband and I was getting ready to watch season 1. It was they had their big, watch party and it was this big to do. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And I'm like, but really, how cool can it be? Like it's network marketing. I mean, where are they? I was like enthralled. A. B, I was like, yes. I looked at my husband and said, I'm gonna be on season 2.
Oh,
Mark my
really?
words. I did. And the time came around to do the auditions and I was like, oh, I don't know. And I actually had started following Megan from Rank Maker, Megan to start, who you interviewed earlier. But I started following her probably about, I don't know, 6 months before the show. So we had been kind of corresponding, we'd hit it off, whatever. And I was like, did you do the show? And she was like, yeah, I put it. She's like, if you don't put your interview or if you don't put your tape in, she's like, I'm going to be so mad at you. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. So yeah, I did it. And I made it. I couldn't believe it. When I remember when I got the email that said, you're part of season 2, I was crying. I run downstairs. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be in the show.
That is funny.
It was awesome though. It was really, but yeah, I wanted to do it because I wanted to prove to myself and to my kids that you can do anything that you set your mind to.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's a good point. So I've talked about this with the last couple of people, the ride from the hotel to the place where was actually like, it seemed like an eternity on day one.
Oh my God, yeah.
I don't think it was quite 45 minutes, but it sure did seem longer than that.
It did.
So we're in the van heading to the thing, where we film. They bring us in. They line us up on the couch. You were sitting to my left on the couch. What's going through your mind? I mean, you're sitting there. Ray and Jess come in. You're looking around at everybody else. What was going through your head?
I was like, oh my God. Like, what am I doing here? Like, what? How did this even? Oh my God. Yeah, there was a lot going through there. There was a lot, but mostly it was just, oh my God.
I should have asked everybody else this. It just came to my mind. So as we were in that room looking around, who did you think was going to be the number one threat to you winning this show?
Oof.
I'm going to start asking that for everybody else.
Well, going into it, I in my mind, I knew Kelly Ray of Light was going to be a hard one, and Megan, because I knew Megan and I knew what kind of freaking powerhouse she is. Good God, I love her. And then I didn't really know anybody else though too well, or you know what I mean? Like I didn't, and only the people that were on my first day did I really get to have like you know what I mean? Because even on the other days, we weren't really left alone as long as we were on day one, if you know what I mean, to like get to know each other. So yeah, but definitely Kelly. I was definitely a little, but we actually became really close. Like we're actually like almost the same person. It's weird, but yeah.
Yeah. So it's really interesting because as I've interviewed everybody and kind of began to hear their backstories, I didn't know one single person going into that thing. Like, I mean, I knew who Ray was.
Right.
Literally, I don't think at that point I'd ever even seen Jess. Like,
yeah.
and then you probably heard me say this, but on day one, I felt like teams had already been picked. Like people had already made their alliances, and I was behind the power curve. I was like, oh my God.
I felt that way too, honestly. I did. I felt that way too.
Yeah.
I felt like people were starting to click up, and I was like, I think I want to be, I think I want to just stay over here.
Right.
and just watch.
All right. So without giving away anything, what was your favorite moment on the show?
Whew, my favorite moment. Oh God. I'm gonna have to go with facing my fear. That day that we had to face our fears, and my fear was definitely what came out of that box. And the fact that I did it, like I showed my husband the picture after, and he was like, "Did you? That's really you?" And I'm like, "That's me. That is me."
Yeah, there's a little bit of onus on that one, right? I mean, if you didn't do it,
I know exactly. It was. But I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I did it.
Now, let me ask you this. Did you actually get the email the night before?
The email.
So as we were going on the day of the fears,
right.
We were in the van and everybody was talking about getting the email with their biggest fear. Like that was a question. I never got that email.
Yeah, I don't think I got that one either.
Okay. Interesting. So, like I remember them discussing it and everybody talking about it. And I was like, hey, like, did I miss something? I didn't get that email. Like,
yeah, I don't think I got that one either.
Okay. So I would have expected the fear day to be the nerve-wracking one for you. But what was the most nerve-wracking experience on the show for you?
The one time I got put in an interview with Jessica, holy good gravy. She's awesome. She's terrifying, though. She terrified me. I remember
I am going to have to see if I can get her to do an interview with me, because everyone was terrified of her, and I want to see what she thinks about everybody being petrified of her.
I think she could see it. I think she could see it in me, because I remember her being like, it's okay. And I'm like,
Yeah,
because like, I don't know. I didn't really, you don't see Jess as much as you see Ray all the time, so it's like, and then she was just like, rah, rah, rah. And I was like, everything you're saying is so right. Oh my God.
That's so funny. So we're done with the show. We've had plenty of time to kind of look back at the show and to internalize what we learned and all those kind of things. What do you think for you was the biggest lesson that you learned on the show?
Yeah, my biggest lesson was to stop thinking that I'm not worthy of success or of big things or seven figures, or because that's always been a struggle with me, and it still is kind of an ongoing, but I've kind of learned more now how to, from the gratitude and the, taking everything day by day, it's been a lot easier for me to kind of, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just been one of those things where I got back from the show and I was like, because I remember crying a lot about, and this will probably come out in the confessionals, but I remember like, oh, I don't feel like I'm at the same caliber as these people. I don't feel like I'm, what am I, and I remember Lauren looking at me and going, really? Like, you're here. You made it. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. You are so right.
That's funny.
But yeah, I think that was my biggest thing though.
Cool. Now, show's over. From before the show and after the show, what do you think has changed the most between your life prior to the show and then after the show?
Well, my team is growing exponentially. I just had my lifetime volume in 2 years of $1 million. So that's pretty awesome. Yeah. My team has grown by like 150-ish since the show. So that's pretty, decent. And I'd say probably though my self-confidence has gotten a lot better, a lot more,
Higdon, go see who's at the door. Sorry.
It's okay.
My dog is an absolute wuss unless somebody knocks on the door.
Oh yeah, mine too.
Absolute wuss. So your team has grown exponentially, and you can see the factors that you can directly attribute to being on the show.
Yeah, I would say probably more so I've learned to stop concentrating on the people that don't want my help and my coaching, and to start concentrating on the people that do, and to stop caring what the people that don't want it think.
Yeah.
That has been an internal thing for me forever. And since the show, I've kind of been like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like I'm me. And if you guys don't like me, then I'm sorry, but this is who you're getting.
Yeah. So here's the kind of the final question. I'm not in network marketing. I don't know who you are, maybe, or your people don't know who I am. Why should I watch this show?
Oh my gosh. Just for the sheer, it's going to be entertaining. It's going to be very entertaining. A. B, we got put through a ton of challenges that, again, is going to be very entertaining for the person watching. And C, you will learn a little something about, what it takes to be a network marketer and what it takes to be a caliber person like we are. Because we are, certain minded people, and anybody can do it. And that's the thing, is like anybody can be what we are and what we do. And that's the beauty of it. And I think that they're going to be able to relate to some of us and really find that, yeah, I can do this.
Yeah, I definitely, as I've got to reconnect with all you guys, and through the process of this interview, listening to everybody's different stories, I think there's a story for just about every kind of person I think I've ever met. I mean, we're talking everything from, Megan coming out of drug abuse and,
I know.
postpartum with you, and Gary with his special needs daughter,
Yeah,
Marilyn with the lifelong experience of serving others and being in ministry. I mean, there's just so much
there is.
and so many stories to be told. Of course, on the reality show, it's not going to get into everybody's story like that deep.
Right.
But I think that they will do a great job of highlighting, each person's individual story and being able to hear that. I think that there's something there for everyone.
I do too.
Sure.
I do too, for sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on. If you guys
Thank you.
want more of Patricia, all you have to do is go to Ray's story. He puts her on there like nearly every day. I don't, and she's always laughing and giggling, so it'll be at least entertaining. So
exactly. I'm either laughing hysterically or crying, hyperventilating. So either one will be entertaining.
I haven't seen the crying stories yet, so
I remember it happening. If they show it, I don't know, but maybe I was a really ugly crier.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. All right, stick on for just a couple more seconds while I end this. Guys, the show's coming out soon. Stay tuned. We'll be putting out the dates as soon as they're solidified. Connect with us. Look forward to seeing you on Monday with my next interview. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you.